più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando al riposo, ma ci s'è un giro d'amor, delle belle...
So guys, Leviim Art Gallery guys, here we are live with wine connoisseur master, nerd and geek Yehoshua Werth.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the objective of this show is to introduce wine dummies like myself. As someone who's been dealing art for 3 years, I'm supposed to be cultural, but the problem is I'm not into wines. So I thought if I get a one-on-one training with Reb Yehoshua, Mr. Wine Master, then maybe I will start becoming fancier. Because people tell me I don't act like a real art dealer, I don't dress the part, I don't act the part, I'm more of a peddler. So I said, let's do a little wine introduction, and while I do it, we could get, all of you guys could benefit, and for people whoever finds this video ever again after that. So let's see how this goes. So if it goes well, then I'm sure it'll go well because Yehoshua is a real nerd and very passionate. And he already proved himself. He just did the most amazing wine show only 2 weeks ago. We had the honor of exhibiting there at the Long Island Kosher Wine Show at the Cradle Museum.
Thank you to Young Israel of Huntington for backing such an incredible experience for all of us. So we can build it.
But I just want to start asking the dumb questions that I want to know about wine, and especially this interview is about kosher wine, and I'm going to go with the questions, and Yehoshua will geek it out, but we're going to try to find a balance between regular stupid people like myself when it comes to wine. Obviously, when it comes to art, I'm the master. But stupid, dumb people like me, I need to know about wine. What is wine? And we're going to go through the whole gambit and try to cover as many questions as possible. In future episodes, we'll try to get questions from the crowd, blah, blah, blah. But for now, I'm just going to come in.
Let me grab 2 glasses while we're schmoozing here. Sure. I have actually 3 glasses for us. A couple big ones, a big one, small ones. And so I'm just going to do a basic thought here, right? So when a person's doing a painting, my father went to Art Institute in Chicago for 10 years. And he was always telling me, how do you create a good signature? If you sign our name 1,000 times, you might as well have fun with it, man. It should be a great thing. So winemakers have also a signature. A certain amount of aging in the barrels, a certain time they like to harvest. Maybe they put stems in when they crush it. We'll explain what all this means, but the key is, though, these are their styles. These are their paintbrushes. This is how they're bringing their artwork into the glass. And of course, we're talking kosher, so we have kalim. The bottles themselves are kalis for what is to come. The Gemara, it talks specifically about old wine. Why?
Sure, give me a second. I'm just going to start
please.
from the beginning. Let's start all the way from the beginning. But very interesting point how Yehoshua is bringing the art and the wine, how every artist has a certain style. For me as an art person, I look at a painting within 2 seconds, I can tell who the artist probably is, or who the artist is trying to knock off, who's inspired by whatever fancy word you want to use. So I guess, is that where you're going with that, correct?
100%.
Right. So for me, when I see a wine, since I am into the arts, looking at the bottle, how pretty it is, that's usually my judgment of what wine I'm going to buy in the wine store. But I would say, if I could start from the dumb side, right?
Yeah.
Everyone likes a kosher Moscato, right?
Not everybody.
But most people off the street, I would say, if you ask them, Moscato, some sweet wine, grape juice at best. So
regular, everyday Joe or Judy. Let me shut this up. The kids are waking up in the background. I love you.
And I guess the question is, what's wrong if I just like sweet wine, Yehoshua?
Oh, there's nothing
wrong.
What
am I missing out? Am I missing something out?
So, there's nothing wrong if you like sweet wine.
Okay.
The key, though, is to expand the palate. The key is, and palate, here we are again. The palate, right?
Mm-hmm.
A painting, there's the artwork on the cover of the bottles, the painting. We're talking about the winemaker is painting our palate. And the winemaker is painting the canvas with his palette. So again, we have a synonym going on here. And each winemaker expresses themselves in different ways. Each painter makes different paints. Each winemaker uses different
Sure, if we do a blind test on you, what are the chances you'll know what winemaker made this wine out of the kosher wines?
I'd say 10% now.
I'm getting 10%?
Better. I'm getting better now.
So do you
Not necessarily the winemaker, but maybe the winery. Because what happens is wineries...
So, hold on. When it comes to art, I could tell you much higher than 10%.
Right, because your eyes are much more powerful and used more often than your nasal or taste senses. How many times do you go into a restaurant? This is a metaphor that I use. And the person sits down, bites into food, chews and swallows, and isn't really paying attention, right? So a great bottle of wine, for me, what happens is with the layman, the regular everyday Joe or Jean or Judy or whatever what I call it, Rachel or Simcha, they open a great bottle of wine. Their friend spent $80 on the bottle of wine, and this is what happens. There's a clothespin on the nose, right? And then the cork is the piece of steak, and swallow it whole. So you see a big chunk sticking out of their neck, and they smelled nothing. Why? Because the experience wasn't talked about. Great painters, you look at the brush stroke, you look at the style of canvas they use, you look at all the details, the color inflection. So a winemaker is really doing that. They spend sometimes 8 years learning in schools and being an intern and just to get that last little bit of flavor. So for a painter, what's interesting is some painters literally throw paint at a canvas. Some winemakers crush it just like this, and you know what? That's my favorite piece of wood over there, and I really want to use that. And some are very aggressive and assertive and power-oriented in the way they put things together. And some are very finesse and elegance and subtleties. So when you ask me about sweet wine, since we're going to bring right back to Moscato right now, you don't have to have just Moscato with sweet wine, though. Moscato is partially fermented, or they stymie or halt the fermentation. Fermentation, we can just look at our wife's challah or girlfriend or mom or sister. As the challah rises, we're looking at fermentation, just like when you make a pickle or some other fermented food. Sauerkraut is one of my favorite fermented foods. When the fermentation is rising the bread, this is alcohol that's making the bubbles. The yeast is eating the sugars of the fruit. The gas is alcohol, and it rises the challah. The bubbling inside of fermentation of wine is the alcohol. When you stop the fermentation, what happens? You leave it sweet because it didn't eat all the sugars. If you didn't eat all the sugars, your alcohol will be lower, your sugar is going to be higher. Now, there are great sweet wines where the alcohol is higher. Where we find that?
Is that late harvest?
You'll find that. So these aren't late harvest. These are what you call ice wines. These are wines where they froze the grapes. This is from California.
Or they just left it out long enough that it was in the cold weather?
So there's both. These are frozen, and there are naturally freezing in Canada and in Europe. That the ice is the water content. When you crush the grapes, the ice will break off. The water leaves the situation. The fruit becomes more concentrated and powerful because you lose the water content. And you can do a full fermentation, and the wine will stay sweeter.
Got you. Now, for the fancy wine people, it always seems like the dry wines seem to be more expensive. Is that always the case?
No.
Okay.
And because of that, we're going to open one of these up both of these up right now, so we'll start with sweet wine.
Great.
Because, go ahead, please.
Sure. So I have a few more stupid questions, if
please.
I may say. So I'm walking into the wine store, and let's say I'm a wannabe wine appreciado, whatever the word is.
Yeah, a connoisseur or a
maven.
A maven,
Because, like someone walks into our art gallery, they look at a painting, they can look at definitely what's interesting when it comes to art, what somebody learned over a couple of years. People walk inside and most people gravitate to certain paintings over and over and over again. If you look on our Instagram account, you'll notice that certain paintings get 1 trillion likes and certain paintings get very little amount of likes. There's a natural gravitation towards certain colors or mixtures or a theme or subject. That's also a reflection of what's trending in general in style, and that, Starbucks these days has the beer walls and the wood, hardwood floors, and that style these days is trending in 2018. Every store, restaurant you go to has a natural rustic look. Like in this basement over here that we're in, the cellar. I don't know what you call it. Why is it cellar? I'm sorry. 30 years ago, people would say this basement is unfinished. Today, in 2018, people say, oh, it's so raw.
It's classic.
It's so natural. It's classic.
It's original.
It's original. So, obviously, when people trend or are attracted to certain paintings, it probably reflects the general artistic taste of trends going on today. It's not proven. It's just my small experience of having a gallery for 3 years, retail, and we're getting so many people walking into the gallery. And, of course, with social media, we could always see what's happening, and people are responding automatically, oh, I love this painting, I love that painting. So when it comes to wine, I think, when I go back to my first thing, everyone's into that sweet, easy wine. I think the Moscato wine, I just use Moscato as the gold standard of easy, friendly wine that everyone just goes straight towards, and they love it, and done deal. So I think certain paintings, automatically, everyone will like it.
We'll call it the Moscato painting.
Moscato painting.
It's easy access, it's sweet, it's not overly complex, it drinks well.
Correct, and you don't have to explain it.
Smells fun and happy.
You don't have to explain it. Everyone just gets it. Oh, I like that. And you'll see certain paintings, everyone just gravitates straight towards all the time.
But these easy paintings are not usually the most valuable or sought after. They're just bought.
They're bought in volume?
Yes.
I would say the more they're bought and the more popular, the value will go up. So I think they're in wine maybe...
But in my experience with wine and with painting,
for example, like the Andy Warhol style, certain paintings, Chamomile soup, they're worth the most because they're the most famous.
Now, how many of the originals exist, though?
Only whatever the number is. I don't know anything about Andy Warhol.
The prints were bought like wildfire.
Correct.
But the originals are a little more obscure because you see the brush strokes. It's not as clean and simple.
Correct.
So, again, with wine, your most obscure versions from a great winemaker are the value ones, usually.
Gotcha.
Because you can't get them.
Okay. But
okay.
But I would say, as in everything, if a wine is explained to you before, it's giving you the appreciation, the value, the background, giving history on this winemaker or this style, and now the person is going to get into the wine, they will appreciate a lot more than Yehoshua just had his example with the nose plugged in. Because if someone walks around our gallery and they just quickly look around, because you have like many different shoppers in the gallery. Some people walk in like, oh, okay, I like that one, and that's it. And some guys sit staring at each painting for a long period of time, and they really notice things and details in the actual painting and really gain a sense of deeper appreciation, and not necessarily will most people appreciate or enjoy that one. So would you say that's similar to the wine, or Yehoshua?
Yes, because wine in general, especially in the Jewish world, and the Yiddish world, the Israeli world, the New York world of our circles, our Masorah was broken. We see that Rashi was a winemaker, Rambam was into wine, the Beis HaMikdash was wine, we gave tribute to the Romans with wine. We know there's the amphores, that people found these clay potsherds, these chambers of wine, the presses all over the country of Israel with wine. Wine, 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 and all of a sudden we get to America and we are drinking sweet goop. Mm-hmm. So we see there something broke at a point, and now in the last 30 years it's been rebuilt And now Hashem is revealing that rebuild, because in Sota, it says, before Mashiach comes, that the grapes will become prolific and the price will go up, which is a contradiction. Like you said, if there's a ton of prints out there, it's not going to be so expensive. But we see the price of the grapes in Israel rising, the wine price is rising, and the world, I mean, some of the greatest magazines in the world have had Israel now on the cover for wine.
Shua, simple one here. What's the difference between a $10 bottle of wine and a $200 bottle of wine?
Quality of grapes, usually. Quality of barrels, usually. Amount of time in the barrels. The winemaker quality. The style, the character, the potential for aging improvement.
Does price always reflect quality, or
no.
Usually?
No. Usually.
80% of the time?
75.
75% of the time. Okay.
Because there are
if someone
$50 bottle of wines that some $18, $20 bottles of wine, I've been fooled completely. There was an $85 bottle of wine years ago that is a 90-point rated by non-kosher writer bottle of wine that was right next to a 93-point rated bottle of wine that was $20. And they asked me which one was more expensive. When we blind tasted it, I picked the $20 bottle of wine.
But 75% of the time, you're going to get a better quality wine, correct?
When the differentiation is radical, usually. When it's subtle, not so much. If you got a $20 to $35 bottle of wine, not necessarily 60% of the time, 50% of the time, not always.
What's the biggest differentiation, price, quality, and general background in terms of whiskeys versus wine?
Oh, okay, good one. So, since you said whiskey, my wife brought us down whiskey-aged pickles for the end of the night. Mm-hmm. So, whiskeys, the idea is to mature the distilled after fermented liquid from a grain base. Whiskey is our cereal grains fermented and distilled and aged in oak barrels.
Same as wine?
If you don't, 1 second, you can have wine not aged in barrels. You can still call it wine. You can have a painting on aluminum, steel, glass is still a painting. Mm-hmm. But whiskey, by law, for the whole world, if you don't age it in a wood barrel, it's not whiskey. You can't only put it in steel. You can't only put it in clay. You can't only put it in stone.
Why do whiskeys have aged 10 years, 12 years, 15, 18 years, 20 years, and wine, you don't really see that, and the price, it doesn't seem like that.
So some port wine...
Because you walk into duty-free, you just, you basically follow the years,
10
and
year,
the price
20
goes
year,
up.
30 year,
exactly.
40 year, 50
and
year.
the price goes up. So
right.
That correlation I see happens in whiskey, and it doesn't happen in wine. Is there a reason?
Sure, because you want the grapes. The grapes are what it's all about. There's wines here that were not aged in wood. They're phenomenal. They're beautiful wines. And then there's wines, like this wine here. This is probably retail, about $400 bottle of wine. It's from a Chateau Smith Haut Lafitte, from Pessac Léon. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, my French counterparts, please correct me. This is from the year 2000. This is an 18-year past harvest bottle of wine. I believe was aged in wood for at least 2 years. Now, the wine you can keep drinking this wine for another 15 years. We're already 18 years past. Mm-hmm. 10 years, something like this. So, this particular set of grapes on this year worked perfectly with the amount of sugars that would come out of the barrels and the amount of character and flavor and tannin, the structure that we put together with the acid of the fruit.
He's losing me here.
So, we're going to explain this in more basic manner, but the key is, though, that this set of grapes from this harvest worked well with long aging in wood. Anything past 10 months is a good amount of time in wood. Even 8 months is a good amount of time in wood. There are wines that do 40 months, 50 months. Do they
get more expensive or not really? Like
so,
whiskey?
There are ceilings to some of this. The fruit's going to cost the same no matter what they do. The original wood's going to cost the same no matter what they do. The storage, if they already have the facilities, is going to cost the same to manage it. Mm-hmm. Will the fruit sustain itself with that much wood coming at it, or will it turn into a big splinter in your cheek? Truly. Whereas whiskey, you're dealing with a much higher proof, much more powerful liquid that can handle that much wood coming into it, and it balances the character more so than maybe destroying the character.
Okay, let's go to step one in opening up any bottle, and you can pick a bottle. Don't go too crazy. Mm-hmm. What's the steps? What's the process? What are the things we're looking for in drinking a bottle? The taste, the flavor, the experience. How do we get the full experience? Meaning to say, if I want to go tour, let's say Israel, the best experience would be if I read up some before, a couple weeks, read a bunch of books, know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a storyline, looking for an experience. What is the basic things I should be hunting and curious about to try to, for the basic level, to make it a better experience than holding, like you said, holding your nose and not really experiencing anything? What are the things we're looking for from the beginning?
Right.
We want it. What are we looking at? What are we hunting for?
You want to experience the paintbrush. You want to have your pen out.
Right. What are we hunting for?
You want to punch holes in the reality that you've been thinking, I've been thinking, anybody else has been thinking, and open up our binder and put our own stamp of approval at the end of it.
So what are we looking for?
So we're looking
Open the bottle. We're looking at the bottle. Do we read the bottle? What are we looking for in the bottle?
If we're doing a winery experience like you asked, you want the winemaker there, or at least a secondary winemaker at the winery. You want to take a walk in the fields. You want to taste the grapes if you're in the right season. No matter where it is in the season of growth, just to get the experience of taste the grapes.
And most people can do that. So YouTube video of the winemaker talking, would you second option is good?
Talking to the winemaker?
No, just seeing a YouTube video of them talking about their winery or their...
Absolutely, because at least you have an idea.
Because most of our viewers are not running around wineries,
sure,
right?
Of course. Just, you know what's interesting is you could probably even go in upstate New York and go into a field up there that's a non-kosher place and be able to pull grapes off there with permission and taste them as even just an art project. Mm-hmm. That would be perfect. Long Island has beautiful vineyards out there.
Mm-hmm. Any kosher ones out there?
I believe they're working on doing some kosher runs with Long Island grapes. I think City Winery and maybe Yankee Drew have used some grapes out there.
Gotcha.
The Finger Lakes region, Engel from Monroe and Yankee Drew and a few other people have made kosher wines, very nice ones, from Finger Lakes.
Where's that? It's more upstate, right?
Just upstate here. So you're not so, but not so far. You know, look, 3-4 hours to have a
Gotcha, but most people aren't doing. Most guys walk into the wine store, pulling a bottle. If they want to get the full experience, what I'm understanding from Rabbi Yehoshua is, just turn on a YouTube video, find out more about this winery, watch him talk about his wine, explain it, what his message or agenda or his style in his wine.
Right. Where did he learn? How does that affect his winemaking? The guy learned in Italy. He's going to have an Italian style of winemaking usually. What does that mean? Softer, more fruity, not so heavy tannins on most of them except for the old
What
wines.
does heavy tannin mean?
Tannin means the amount of grip it's going to have in your cheekies or across the top of your palate here or in here. You'll feel almost like a gripping. You ever chewed on like a jerky? Mm-hmm. And you kind of get that. Or like I have a whole example of items here to help us with a palate idea. So here we have a selection. We have oranges. We have pickles.
Hold on, what's this for?
This is to tell us about what we experience in the taste of wine. So a pecan or an almond, right, will have a woodiness to it. Sometimes people have a sensitivity to the
Hold on. So
oils.
when we open, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Give me a few seconds.
Okay.
When we're opening a bottle of wine, are we looking for these flavors in the wine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When you look at a painting, you look at the colors, you look at the brushstrokes, the full experience of it. Is it peppery? Is it nutty? By smell, is it nutty?
Right.
You know, is it nutty?
Do you think most people, when they're drinking wine, if obviously they don't know anything about wines, they're not thinking about anything. They're just
That's right.
Right.
They're just
they're
sipping
maybe
it.
trying to get a hit.
But yet all of a sudden you go to a restaurant and they're tasting a steak and they're like, oh, it's juicy. Oh, it's rare. Oh, it has a nice spice to it.
Right.
So how could we not do that with another thing that goes in our mouth that we say a bracha on?
Correct. And someone told me that wine has so many different, potentially many different flavors.
Oh my goodness!
That
Incredible.
no any other food or drink has that potential to run across everything.
Because it's a living organism. It's a fermented living organism. Why is it we say let the wine breathe, chill the wine, have the wine at room temperature? Because the liquid has a different presentation at each one of those settings. If you serve meat cold, it will taste and eat differently.
So are we looking for these flavors when we drink wine?
I think.
Are we hunting?
I think.
Or like, let's check this out. Is it like a Jack in the Box? Let's see what this wine really tastes like.
I think
that's what it seems like with these wine nerds.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
You're not wrong at all. So my favorite way to taste wine, though, is to let the wine talk to you. It's kind of like, why do you see people in an art gallery staring at the painting for 20 minutes? They're letting the art show itself to them versus the person, again, that walks in the restaurant, sniffs nothing, has got the clothespin on. I'm spending $200 on my plate of food, and I'm having a $200 bottle of wine, and I go home and I spend $200 on this and $200 that, versus going, wow, I went to this bistro, and the food was really juicy, and the wine smelled like flowers.
Sure, you ever done a conversational interview video first time?
In my music days, I did.
No, not in
the wine.
First
no.
time.
Yeah.
So
I
first
did it
time
with other people. I've been the one doing the interviewing. I've been the one asking the questions of them about their place, but no one ever interviewed
about your wine.
Me and my.
And this is the first time you're in your new wine cellar, correct?
Yes, the first time. So this is the the barrel room or the furnace room, and then we have to the right of the cameras. There's about a 350 or 400 square foot room that is a rock foundation.
And he just moved there in July, so this is all
all fresh and new. I mean,
which is cool for us.
Some of the light switches in this room are turned to the century.
People always ask us who the new artists. So it's all here. A new studio, a new cellar.
I have some of my wife's cookies for us for dessert too.
So what I understand is that you are looking for different flavors in the wine when you're drinking it. You're sort of on a hunt. You're sort of on checking out with the Jack in the Box. Let's see what this wine's going to taste like.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. You walk through a forest. Wow, what's that tree? If you go swimming, let's experience that slide. If you go to an art gallery, which one has the most yellow?
Now if I could jump to the cup.
Yeah.
Right? Is there different sizes? When do you do what size? How many different sizes are there?
Completely inside of this glass. That's why I brought this up.
How many different sizes and what's the difference?
There's 1,000 different sizes of wine glasses.
Okay, let's just say 3 sizes. Small, medium, and large, right?
So
what's the difference? When do you use
small,
what?
Then there'd be a medium and large.
Okay. When do you use what?
When do you use what? Honestly, first thing is...
I'm sorry for not letting you geek out on certain bottles, which he tried a few times to do on me, but I'm so naive and stupid in this area, I need to get to know every little basic thing.
So, okay.
It's sort of how the way we interview artists and try to get in the background. We're doing a similar...
Why are you using full screen?
We're using this methodology here and trying to figure out everything from A to Z.
Okay.
So when do you use big, when do you use small?
So
the shape of the cup. I know when the people are drinking whiskey, it's more like a regular circle oval, and when people are using wine, it's rounder.
Looking for one more wine cup. I thought I had.
Let's just go for the easy show.
Okay, fine. So
I'm assuming the viewers are as ADD as me.
Turn left. All right. Oh. Okay. So
let's first talk about the shape of a wine cup.
Oh,
goblet. What's it called?
A wine goblet.
Wine goblet. There we go.
So the shape of the wine glass is to have a large bulbous bottom, so you can fit a decent amount of wine in it, and a narrowing at the top to contain the aromas.
So it shouldn't just go everywhere.
Correct. If you notice, a champagne flute is very narrow, but still tapers to the top, because you want to hold the bubbles in a smaller area. You want to retain the bubbles. On a
whiskey glass
or rocks glass, you want a larger area but still to taper. A shot glass is not a drinking vessel. A rocks glass is not really meant for enjoying aroma. Rocks is more like straight up. A shot glass is going wide.
Can whiskey drink in any glass? Does it make a difference?
No, it makes a huge difference.
It makes a difference on the cup.
I'm helping a guy with this glass. I thought I had some here.
No problem.
The neat glass, and it's one of the highest rated whiskey glasses in the world now. And what does it do? It eliminates 85% of the alcohol aroma and then focuses the oils, esters, and floral notes.
Okay, so wine.
These are meant to do the exact same
aroma.
thing for wine.
Focusing on aroma.
You want to focus the aroma, and you want to also allow enough area to swirl the wine to activate the aroma without spilling it. So this glass is about 20 ounces or more. This is about 8, I think, something like that.
Okay,
so maybe 6 ounces.
So let's do step 1 from the beginning. You cork a bottle. Is there any special way to do it?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do the cork. There we go. It's a Dalton Canon Red.
What is it retail?
It's about a $15 bottle of wine.
Got you.
It has a little pull tab,
right.
So you don't. I personally like to just yank off this if you can.
Right.
It's cleaner. It's faster. Kind of looks cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But this one has a little pull tab. Just wraps itself around.
Got you. Real cork versus fake cork. Does it make a difference on the wine?
So on white wines, you're going to drink young or little fruity $10, $20 bottles of wine. Yeah. Usually they'll use recycled corks or synthetic corks or things like this. Mm-hmm. On your fancier, better bottles of wine, they're using real full cork. You'll see the
made out of what wood? What is it?
It's from a cork tree in Portugal, or there's a couple other places on the planet. It's a pretty rare tree, but apparently there's a lot of it, enough to manufacture.
So a real cork makes a difference in the flavor? In what way?
Aging potential, usually.
So if you're not aging, it doesn't make a difference.
And also, over time, they can deteriorate. If it's a real cork, it usually won't. If it's staying wet by doing on its side. Like anything that's wood, if you don't have some level of moisture, it'll dry and crack.
Right.
So, when you open a bottle of wine, a waiter corkscrew, as annoying, ridiculously simple, and standard as they are the standard of most sommeliers in the entire industry. Sommelier is a master of wine. Aroma, character, location.
Would you call yourself a sommelier?
I am not a sommelier. I'm a wine geek. Totally. Admitted. My uncle owned a wine store when I was a very young person, in my preteen and teenagers, and he would fly in a case of wine a week in advance, and we were wondering, why does he fly in a week in advance? Just fly with it. Well, because there's a thing called bottle shock, and we'll go into that another later. But I started drinking wine in multiple glasses and multiple styles.
Gotcha, how do you open it?
So we grab on.
You're saying all those fancy, easy cork things you're not into?
No, because they break really easy, and you can break corks really easy, and also it kind of looks cheap, even though some of them are pretty expensive.
Gotcha.
It's all the above, plus the experience. Can you open that? Click, click.
No sweat.
There's no feeling. So grab on, put your hand around like this, just like you're gripping. Point that from your in between index finger and your middle finger, and put your finger behind it with a pin as you're driving the pin with your finger, not straight up and down.
The reason why I like the real cork is before the fidget spinners, I would just take corks and peel them apart until they crumble.
Oh, very cool.
That's how I noticed the difference in it. So, otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Like how long does it take to get to the inside of a lollipop?
Exactly.
Pull each horsehair off of this brush. Anyways.
So that's why I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Okay. So push it down.
Right.
Notice my corkscrew is at an angle.
Right.
A very bizarre angle. Right. Sideways and
Correct.
Off to the kilt. But
90
my
degrees.
pointer is going straight down. Now, put your finger there and just slowly twist the bottle. And you are now going in there at no effort.
That's a little secret. You pop it in 90 degrees.
It's about 45-ish, 45. Kind of like sideways and sideways.
So it basically cuts in.
It cuts in, and then when you tilt it up now, because you put the point going down, I've driven straight into the center of the bottle. Mm-hmm. Now, you double hinge is the way to go. See, this is a double little hinge here with a stopper and a stopper. So you can kind of show that stopper and stopper. Put this down, pop it up, clip it onto the edge right there. See, it's right on the lip of the bottle. Grip onto the second level and pull it up. Stop. Pop it all the way down. Go to your second level again. And pull right up. Before you get to the top, grab onto the whole thing and look cool.
Next step.
And notice,
yeah,
it's not going through any part of the cork at all, which means on Shabbos, you're not breaking letters. That's a big deal.
Probably also means you didn't drink enough wine because you still get it straight.
I just wanted to drive in the side of the cork. Yeah, exactly. No kidding.
Okay, what's the next step?
Okay. Now, throw the cork away because we're going to finish the whole bottle right now. I'm kidding. Now, take your glass, and I'm going to just say this in every video. Don't drink towels. Don't drink soap and water. Don't drink cleaning chemicals. And don't drink the last wine that you drink. Pour some wine in the glass, rinse the glass out, and dump it off. Dump off your wine. Rinse your glass, spin it around, and dump it out. Why? Imagine a guy trying to paint with green that has black all over his paintbrush.
So now how do you pour the wine? Is there a special way?
Yeah.
Here we go.
In halacha, the only time we pour backhanded is when there's a velos or someone's nifter.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it feels strange. You see someone doing that, ask them, is it comfortable? Pouring over, so your arm's extending the wine as one off the side of the glass, so people can see it pour across, and also it aerates a little bit too, and that's a good thing.
What's aerates mean?
Aerate means you're oxidizing the wine, so the wine can breathe a little bit. It's been inside this chamber and closed, this one, for a year. So you want the wine to be able to air a little bit to wake itself back up.
So you're saying it's like someone's suffocating and they're just catching their breath.
Catching their breath, exactly. The fancier the wine, the more air it needs to show its power, strength, and fruit.
So what do you suggest? How long earring?
Every wine is different.
Average.
This is when there is no average.
I mean, let's say I want to get into the bottle, and you're like, yeah, this should aerate about 6 hours. And meanwhile, I have this huge steak sizzling.
Okay, so if you have a bottle where your wine geek that's helping you says 6 hours,
so get it.
Then what you do is you take a water carafe.
What is that?
A water pour, like a water pitcher.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You pour your whole bottle into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in a hurry, you only have 15 or 20 minutes to get into your 6-hour bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
You should start chucking that thing around in a
circle. Spinning it around.
Spin it around. Get the air moving.
And how would you? What's the
back and forth.
So a simple bottle, how long should you spin around?
A simple bottle of
$15
$20 bottle of wine. If it's a 2016 or 17, if it's a new wine that's been aged for over 6 to 12 months in wood, give it an hour.
An hour? Wow.
If it's been not aged in wood or up to 3-4 months, 30 minutes max is fine. If it's a wine that's not aged in wood or 3 months or 6 months, 15 minutes, but pour out a little bit from the bottle into a glass and let it breathe in the glass while you're saying Lecha Daidi if you want.
Wow. So
that's a red wine.
Anyone who wants to crack open the bottle right away is obviously not getting the full experience.
Get an unoaked, lighter style of wine that maybe has a year on it. Look on the shelves. Every wine store has a hidden gem in there that's got a little bit of age on it. It's not so expensive. It's there.
Gotcha. What comes to mind right away? So you're saying everything minimum 15 minutes, right?
Fair.
You sure? 15 minutes minimum?
You got to give any bottle of wine that's red 15 minutes.
15 minutes, no matter what.
And
now, this
any
is a white
bottle
wine,
of
right?
white wine,
give
it 5.
5 minutes. So did we do 5 minutes yet of this or not?
Yeah.
We did. Okay.
We did 5 minutes.
So now you got the glass with the wine.
Smell the wine. Smell the fruit. Smell if there's herbs or or a stream, or rocks, or fungus, or stones, or lettuce, or lime rinds, or whatever it may be. Just
so far, I'm just smelling white wine. What am I missing?
Okay, so here, ready? We're going to guide you through this.
Hey, look at this. Just to give you an idea, I'm smelling the wine. I'm smelling white wine. Typical white wine smell.
Okay.
Now, here goes a nerd. Go for it.
Okay, so this is a Canaan white. This is a just off-dry blend of a few grapes. I don't know the exact blend. I think they change it every year. Mm-hmm. It is from the Galil.
Now, when you drink a wine, I'm sure you spoke to many winemakers. Does it give you a whole different experience speaking to them?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you think about the guy?
Yeah, you think about, I'm in the field, this guy's making it.
You know, like an artist, many people, they want to meet the artist because then they really feel connected to the artist. And usually, more than usual, people who connect to artists, people who meet the artist are much more likely to sell if they connect the story to the person, obviously the artist, and his art reflect himself. Anyway, so here comes for me, I'm still at simple wine, white wine smell. Here comes a nerd. And maybe if he wants to start telling me these things, like what I'm tasting and smelling, then I'll start like saying, oh, maybe he's not after 10 cups of wine and he's smelling anything you tell him.
This is a clementine. Okay. The outside part of a clementine is called the rind.
Okay.
When I smell
this... So over the rind, is it any same spelling or different?
So, okay. So rind smells completely different than the fruit. So let's just cut into this and we'll know immediately. Let's peel this off of here.
Hold on, just to let you guys know. Yeah. Most of Yeshua's wine shows are a lot more interesting than this presentation. Because this is a lot more educational, more than the actual fun part, correct?
Yeah, this is this is details. This is graphics. This is logistics of wine tasting and the engineering involved in joy of wine.
So if you hire him, he'll get to the wine pretty quick. Even though his minimum is 5 to 15 minutes, probably you slip him a tip, he'll let you drink it even before 15 minutes, right?
No, what it would be is I would open some wines in advance and tell people about it. And also, a great thing to do is you pour out a glass of wine from a freshly opened bottle, and then you open a second bottle an hour or two later, and you have them smell the two side by side. They'll smell completely different. They'll drink completely
different.
Exact bottle of wine. So here, I want you to smell something, okay? This is a rind of clementine.
It's called a peel in English, yeah?
Right. You smell as I open it. It's one smell. I'm going to put that away. And now I'm just going to squeeze the fruit and just smell. It's a different smell.
Correct.
It's a totally different smell.
Correct.
So, for me, don't bring napkins to a wine party. Kidding. Anyways, so this has a very lemon core. You know the white part? It's not lemon fruit. It's brighter. It's even got some I had a box of chamomile tea to show. It kind of has like a chamomile, not exactly, but it's going in that direction. It's not chamomile tea, but it has some of that kind of lighter, easy field flower. It's not floral. It's not an orchid. It's not musky like a perfume, but it has a little light, outdoor spring flower thing with a little bit of a citrus orientation is what I'll call it.
Now, if it's a cheaper wine, is there less going on and less flavors and more expensive or nothing to do with anything?
Usually, yes. Why? Again, there's a difference in the flavor possibility with a $1,500 barrel used for a wine than someone breaking up chunks of wood and shoving oak staves inside of a steel tank. Not going to create the same elements.
So you'll have a lot more flavors going on in a fancier
in the really high-end wood. But there are great winemakers that have incredible grapes that do very little, if not any, oak aging. They can produce beautiful flavors. Maybe not as long and generous, but extraordinary the same. Hayam Bracha. You get the big glass this time. Baruch atah Adonai l'chalam, borei pri hagafen.
Hold on, you didn't tell me how to do that little swishing.
Now.
Hold on. What do you do with your mouth?
Okay.
You sound a little on-table manner-like, but what you do?
So my wife always freaks out. What are you doing? You're swishing stuff in your mouth. Ah, what are you doing? I love my wife. She's amazing. Thank you, Nechama. So what I did is this. Earlier, we gave this whole idea about don't go and chew a steak and swallow it whole.
Right.
Don't take a glass of wine and go like this. Why not? Tell you why not.
You're not experiencing it.
Go look at the best painting in the world like this. Ready? Cover up one eye and then do like a horse guard on the other eye and never really see the whole painting. Now, when you chew food, we have no choice but every single juice to go in every part of our mouth. Our body's designed for it. You chew food, you experience a joyfulness because all the flavors are going everywhere. All your sensories of your nose and mouth are lit up. So if you rinse it like mouthwash, you're forcing your body's senses to experience it a different way. I guarantee it's going to taste different, too, when you swallow this. And you take a deep breath. You will have a different flavor in your mouth than when you just swallowed the wine. And there'll be more residual flavor as well.
When you mouthwash it.
Yeah.
Could we just call it a mouthwash?
You can call it mouthwashing. Mouthwashing, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Swishing, mouthwashing, whatever you want to call it. I tell people, rinse your mouth like mouthwash. Mm-hmm. And my dentist said actually...
How often do you get drunk? Sorry, then you should.
I hate being drunk.
I
hate being drunk.
Because you don't experience wine?
Yeah, you lose touch with it. I'll taste 50 things a night, 60 things a night at a big tasting.
And you're spitting.
And it's fun.
Spitting out?
I always say a bracha first.
Right.
And then, if the wine's extraordinary, I'll go back and give me a little bit just to drink. But mostly I'm just kind of going through, just looking, what's the character, what's the style, what's the vibe, and spitting it out, yeah.
I think kosher wine tastings, there's no spitting out. People are just drinking. Is that often the case?
Depends on who, what, and where.
At your show 2 weeks ago, people are spitting out or just...
I'd say only about 25% were spitting out. Okay. But then again, the guys that were spitting out were definitely getting to taste a lot more wines. A really good guy could taste 100 wines in a night, no problem. Whereas the guy that's drink, they're going slower. They're sitting on it, and they're talking about it. The real serious guys are literally, take a drink, get your pen out, write some notes. It's Cabernet, and it's 12 months in oak barrels, and the winemaker made wine here, and it's from the Galil. And
you had notepad. Did you have notepads at your event?
No, but we did have a booklet with all the names of all the wineries.
So you can mark things down. Gotcha.
And distributors, yeah.
Okay.
So, by the way, this envelope was...
Do you have a favorite wine or not?
Yes.
You do?
Uh-huh. Yep.
What's your favorite wine?
My favorite wine is the one that pairs best with the food in front of me.
Got you. So
or the best with the friend next to me. Uh-huh. And you said, like, sweet wine. So let's lose these dry wines right now. This simple little...
Okay, by the way, I still didn't taste all those things you were saying. Just letting you know.
Did you get an idea of them? Did you get a fleck, a piece of dust about what I'm talking about?
I think the swirling helped a
lot.
Yeah, it's a step up.
Yes. Okay, so this is an ice wine. That was from Israel.
I'm not sure if I'm just being... I know there's an art dealer I know. Basically, people buy him because he's so high energy and so pushy that people end up buying him, and they don't... But which is interesting because that's the experience you get when you see the pig. You think of that person. So it's not that bad. So I'm not sure if I'm just rounding off Rabbi Yeshua's energy. I'm thinking I'm tasting these things, or I really am. I'm not sure. I'll let you know at some time.
Well, you'll evolve your senses to tune into them with time.
I'm also taking this approach because I'm thinking of the viewers who don't know what I'm thinking about, and trying to be as sarcastic as possible.
Absolutely.
To drill you, push you against the wall, squeeze you until you know.
Okay, so now, when you smell this, I'll give you the small glass on this one. How much radically different does this smell?
You ready to put wine in it?
Yeah.
It's sweet.
How different? Right, two worlds.
Yeah.
White wine.
Why do you put so little?
I rinsed the glasses. Now we have nothing in there.
Oh, nothing.
Yeah, we just
have... You rinse it with the sweet one.
I rinsed it with the sweet wine. So
let's get it straight in.
You just have the residual, just for the aroma. There's no power to it because there's no liquid in there.
Would you say 90% of sweet wines are cheaper, they're never going to plateau to reach the values of the dry ones?
90% won't.
Okay.
But this wine, this ice wine from Contra Costa, California, this Malvasia done dessert style.
Yeah.
That's different.
How much is this bottle?
I think it's $30.
Gotcha.
And it's half size.
The good thing about being in the wine business is you get free bottles all day long because people are forcing onto it. And since Yeshua is the most influential person today,
Not the most
unbiased, we'll be very clear, the most influential, unbiased kosher wine critic in the world, he gets a lot of wine. I was just telling my partner today, like, the cool thing about being in the art business is people send you free paintings all the time, you know, or pictures, or this. The point is, once you're in it, there's a nice perks, right?
Yeah.
Yeshua?
Yeah. Well, I opened this. Well, here's my perk: is I opened this particular bottle of wine so my wife could drink it later. I mean, I'm drinking with you. It's the best. It's awesome. But my wife really likes my friend's wine. I grew up with this guy since we're 6 years old. We're both Choseh B'Tshuva. We both are nuts about the wine. And he's one of my best friends in the world, Michael K. So this
Where does he live?
He lives in Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berserkly.
Oh, totally. So this one.
Okay. Now, sweet wine swirling is everything's the same.
Oh, my goodness. So this is candy.
Yeah, but you're thinking of Michael K. when you're drinking this, right?
Oh, yeah, I can picture him right in front of me holding a skateboard. Rock climbing, a skateboard.
You know, it's like it says 30 days before the holiday, you're supposed to prepare yourself and study the laws and to get yourself revved up a bit and get prepared. Very much so with the wine.
Oh, yeah.
It's so psychological.
Oh, yeah. All holidays, we're supposed to definitely have good wine.
Okay, so what are we doing? What are we smelling there?
Okay.
Because I just smell flat Moscato d'Asti. That's what I'm smelling.
And it's not a Muscat grape. Isn't that funny?
Okay.
So now Bartonura, they do have a Malvasia wine, right? Mm-hmm. Smells nothing like this. That, you know, the red, clear one, the blush,
correct,
right? Which everyone's seen. It's got kind of like they call it rosé.
Hold on, what's the best-selling bottle at your wine store today? Kosher wine.
The best-selling bottle
volume,
at
by
our
volume.
store by volume? It might be the Bartonura Moscato still.
Who's up there with it?
And then there's the Rambam Moscato, and then there's...
The Rambam's cheaper than the other one?
Rambam's $1.
And how is the quality difference?
Exactly the same quality.
Exactly the
same quality.
You can't tell the difference.
But people love the blue bottle.
Well, is the Rambam also blue?
Yes.
It is.
But to them, the blue bottle is Bartonura.
Got you.
Right.
So $1 cheaper, same taste.
Same okay. Quality, same taste. Different region of Italy that they got the grapes from.
It's not the same, but same quality.
Same quality. A little bit of a different taste, yeah. Some people prefer that taste is, you know,
is preferential.
People like this one, people like that.
Is that a real word, preferential?
Preferential, yeah.
It is, okay, good.
Yeah, carpetpetuation, you know.
No problem. So, sweet wine,
yeah.
Same process swirling?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The same thing swirling
to activate the aroma in the glass and give it a smell.
So activate means like the guy's choking
get it going.
in the bottle, and now hold on, did we have this bottle open for 6 hours, or this guy doesn't need it?
This is we have it chilled.
Okay.
This is straight out of the cellar.
Out of the cellar?
Yeah, around 55 degrees.
Actually, this cellar was made in what year?
1765, 1760. So
I'm already preparing the bottles that Yeshua's going to be making out of this cellar here. I'm already getting a description. 1765, as George Washington was running down the Route 202
down the street.
202, he probably, I don't know. Anyway. So what do we smell here? Because I just smell sweet wine. Honey?
Honeysuckle, sweet candies. This would be like kind of a good pairing. Can you eat nuts?
Yeah.
There's a pecan.
Is this regular or candy?
A candied pecan. So when
now, what does pairing mean?
Pairing.
I always see that pair this with this, pair with that, pair with this.
Pair means two.
Correct.
Okay. Not the fruit, a pear. P-E-A-R. But P-A-I-R. Right? And it means the putting together of, or the uniting of, or the complement.
Because I know that if I eat a burger, I want to drink a Coke, just wash it down. Is that pairing, or is that just filtration?
Could be a little both. So here, watch. Here's an almond. Okay. Here's a regular almond chunk. I want you to eat this first.
The almond.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? What's the purpose?
You're gonna notice the difference of how well this wine works with a candied pecan more so than an almond. You'll know why I chose this. And this is key to also the best restaurants. They'll be like, oh, what are you eating? Oh, try this wine with that. And the guy's like, well, why? Well, this wine, if it's with a piece of meat, it has a a meaty characteristic. It has a dark berry, a tobacco characteristic. I smoke the meat. I use this type of herb when I cook it. So therefore, the like and like will work.
Like peanut butter and chocolate pair well, right?
Oh, gosh. I may not drink any more wine. Peanut butter and chocolate? That's
when
not
you mix
fair.
peanut butter and chocolate, it pairs. That everyone understands, right?
You have the...
Or chocolate and vanilla.
You have
What's a more simple pairing that our viewers can understand pairing in a very stupid, simple way?
Sure.
Okay.
You would have a...
Not wine related.
Okay.
I know chocolate and vanilla, chocolate and peanut butter, people always mixing together in chocolate. People, Reese's, whatever, that style is always mixing well together. That everyone gets. What else could you... Another example of foods that pair that... Because most people eat...
A beer and a pastrami sandwich.
Okay, what about...
On rye, and it's a rye beer.
What about macaroni and cheese? Is that pairing cheese with macaroni? It's just mixed in.
Oh,
would that be considered
so
pairing or not?
you have the new... Well, no, because that becomes a whole food. It's kind of like I have this strange idea that there's people that they want to wear two head coverings, right? But they sew together two pieces of fabric and they wear it on top of their head. Right. Well, wait a minute, isn't that one piece of fabric now?
Correct.
So the macaroni and cheese now is one meal.
Right.
A complement would be a drink next to it, or
beer and popcorn. Is that pairing?
Beer and popcorn is a pairing. Absolutely.
Why does that pair together?
You have the dryness and the chewiness of the popcorn with the wet and the fermenty hoppy of the beer, and they go well. They're both the best beers with the popcorn would be a dry beer with a dry popcorn. In my inkling, they're
dry means not buttered or no?
Butter works good if you have more of a creamier.
Okay, so
beer.
I guess everyone can understand beer and popcorn.
Beer.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone can understand beer and popcorn, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beer and popcorn is pretty straightforward.
Right. I was trying to find the most simple thing that people can understand.
Beer and popcorn
and know
really
what pairing means. Yeah.
Beer, tequila and limes.
Right.
Margaritas, whatever you want to call it. Okay. That sour with sweet.
Right. And
a balance.
Orange juice and Smirnoff, right?
Orange juice and Smirnoff is pretty straightforward, yes.
Right.
Vodka cranberry.
Cranberry. Or is
that
considered
one
drink?
That's now a drink.
A drink, so it's not even considered pairing.
Right, because you're doing like and like. You're doing liquid and liquid.
So what's with wine and cheese? Why is wine and cheese? Everyone's wine and cheese. Wine and cheese.
Cheese is fatty. Oh, let's taste this nut. Okay. Okay. Dry. Almond. Basic. No outer skin, so you don't have the flakiness in your mouth. Very straightforward. Now sip the wine.
Okay.
Doesn't really do much, right?
Right.
The nut's too dry, actually. Kind of takes away from the sweetness of the wine.
Okay.
Now, the pecan, though, take a bite of that and sip the wine. Right. Oh, yeah.
Swirl again.
Pecan's got more character, right?
Right.
Sweeter, yeah? The flavor lingers. Now, take a sip of wine with the food in your mouth. All of a sudden you have an activation. It's like more flavor. The pecan's helping. You've paired. And now even at the end,